The hashtag #EndSARS protest may have lost a lot of momentum it generated about a week ago. But the question regarding who ordered soldiers to move in and shoot at the young protesters remain unanswered. That was one unfortunate incident that set off a chain of reactions from within here in Nigeria and more remarkably from the international community, where perhaps incidentally there has been a conscious attempt to put the Nigerian government under the spotlight because of a perceived poor human rights record. What should have been the appropriate way of engaging the protesters in order to avoid or minimize the so-called collateral damage? The Army headquarters claims it lost 10 AK-47 rifles during the crisis. And the question many are asking is, lost the weapons to who exactly? The protesters? Again, in what possible ways can the protests and the ongoing mob action across the country over COVID-19 palliatives impact on the military's ability to maintain vigilance over its core mandate of protecting the territorial integrity of Nigeria from external aggression? Well, joining us now to look at the relevant issues is retired Brigadier General Sani Usman, a former director of Public Relations, Nigerian Army. General Usman, good morning, and thank you for joining us on the morning show. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me on your program.
Good morning. Thank you for joining us. Well, General, I'm sure you've been following the story and the responses of different publics to the role that was purportedly played by Nigerian soldiers in the alleged shooting and killing at the Lekki Toll Gate here in Lagos. It took the military a whole week to come out with a statement saying, yes, they were invited by the government of Lagos State and that there was no killing on that occasion. But Amnesty International has come forward this morning to offer evidence to the contrary and to accuse the Nigerian Army of denying, of refusing to say the truth. Well, I mean, you used to speak for the Nigerian Army. You are also a retired military officer. What is the standard procedure in this kind of situation? Is it possible that the military went beyond the needs of the Lagos State government that they claim invited them? And the Lagos State government is also insisting that they were supposed to come in after the curfew, but they got there by 7, and the incident that occurred was at 7:30 p.m. And the state government says, well, they were supposed to come out after 9 to help impose the curfew. What could have gone wrong?
Well, thank you so much for having me on the program, like I said earlier, and raising these very vital issues and concern. Now, the starting point is that Amnesty International, actually, we have been through this road several times over with them. And before I go further, I would like to let you know that way back in 2016, something happened unprecedented in the history of the Nigerian military, Nigerian nation, and of course the Nigerian Army, and of course the over 100 years of existence of Amnesty International. I was the one who, on the directive of the Chief of Army Staff, formally wrote an email to their headquarters in London, and we invited them. That, to a large extent, goes a long way to show you the transparency and willingness to have constructive engagement with Amnesty International. Remember, it is just an international, non-governmental organization. But we went out of our ways because of concern about allegations of human rights abuses and all the rest. But what was the outcome of it? After all said and done, our Nigerian Army explaining everything, concerning the allegations they had, they said, well, it was not transparent enough, and they continue with the way they carried out things. I could remember there was a time when I was Director of Army Public Relations. Amnesty International accused the Nigerian military of killing over 5,000 people in Maiduguri. And if you are a Nigerian, if you are familiar with Maiduguri, capital of Borno State, and you know the healthcare facilities available, and common sense would have told you that actually beyond Umar Musa Shehu Adwa and hospital, and University Teaching Hospital Maiduguri, there was no hospital with capacity to contain even up to 50 dead bodies, talk less of 100. Now, you require nothing less than 12 trailer loads to carry 5,000 bodies. And where are the cemeteries where these 5,000 bodies were, buried? These and many other spurious allegations have been going on against the Nigerian military by Amnesty International. However, thankfully, the Lagos state government has set up a judicial commission of inquiry, to deal with the issues, including the unfortunate or controversial incidents at the Lekki Toll Gate. Now, coming back to that issue, if you are talking about all this procedure and what have you, there is no question about the fact the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, particularly Section 218, categorically is explicit that the military can be called upon by the President Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, can call in the military in aid of civil authority. Well, the procedures are also there in the statutory books, the processes and what have you. But what is evident and is not in doubt is the fact that Lagos state government requested for the military. And remember, this request came about after killings that have been taking place, including the brutal murder of a divisional police officer that has never happened in the history of Lagos State or even in this country. A law enforcement officer will be killed, and so many police stations, so many businesses and government facilities were looted, were ransacked. It was on the basis of that, and that spree had been going on from Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, up to the time on Tuesday when the military were called on. I don't want to go into the nitty-gritties of what happened, but you can rest assured that, they are aware. And thankfully, one of your commentators, I think you are the one who even mentioned that people were making concerted effort, to bring the government in spotlight. But it is not just concerted, it is deliberate, to cast the nation and, of course, the military in a bad light, simply because, like we all know, in situations of this nature, you always have a fall guy. And typically, because over time, people have decided to be denigrating the military, and the military is being turned as a fall guy. And it is not true, because evidence on the ground did not support that assertion, in the sense that, yes, there were the deployment of the military. To what extent and all the rest, it will be determined by the inquisition by the Commission of Inquiry. But I believe the evidences are there. If you even look at the canisters, they were blank ammos. Blank ammos don't even kill. At a close range, maybe 100 meters, definitely it will have some pigmentation on your skin. And so let's leave the Commission of Inquiry to do its job. But one thing I want to say, it is very, very dangerous for anybody to politicize security issues in this country. The military is a symbol of national unity. It is a symbol of national power. They should be insulated from all this politics. And for goodness sake, if you are going to play politics, let it be dynamic, let it be responsive, let it be to the interest of the Nigerian society, not, denigrating a particular segment, particularly a very important instrument or institutions like the military.
Thank you, General Usman. Amnesty International and the Nigerian military have indeed had quite a fractious relationship. But since you say we should leave the veracity or otherwise of the claims to this commission, I want to ask you another question. Yesterday, the president launched the Armed Forces Remembrance Day emblem appeal. And for me personally, you observe in the United Kingdom around this time every year, in the lead up to Armistice Day celebrating the end of World War I, the whole country, from kindergarten students to old age pensioners, wears a poppy on their coats or whatever to show solidarity with the military. In Nigeria, that practice has not quite taken hold. And this kind of a storm that we're witnessing at the moment, with the military being accused of shooting peaceful protesters, will not go towards helping the image of the military. But I'd like you, as a retired general who has actually seen combat and knows what it is to be a soldier, to talk about the role of the military in this country and why exactly they should be appreciated and how all Nigerians can sort of show patriotism by appreciating the efforts of the military. Because really, all that stands between us and marauding Boko Haram or other insurgents is the Nigerian military, this ugly incident notwithstanding.
Well, thank you very much for raising this very vital issue. And honestly, it's something that has been generating a lot of concern in the security sector, particularly the military, given the nature of their job, the sacrifices, the effort they put in. And remember, everything that is happening in the country, the socio-economic aspect of it, it has direct consequences and impact on the ability and the morale of the troops. Therefore, there is need for, encouragement, support, and, appreciation of the Nigerian military in view of the nature of their job. It is the only job that you voluntarily, go into with the understanding that at any moment you may even die for the sake of peace and tranquility of this nation. Therefore, we should imbibe the habit of appreciating our own military. Now, there is no system that is 100% good, or without any problem whatsoever. But you should understand, if there are issues, there are proper ways to go about doing it. And of course, we know without the military, coming, definitely in aid of civil authority, whenever the need arises, there will be chaos and anarchy in this country. Therefore, it is not out of place, really, that in fact it is even heartwarming that the president going out of his way to donate handsomely to the, the Armed Forces and Remembrance Day celebration. Of course, it will go to the Nigerian Legion, which I am a proud member. And honestly, it gives us sense of belonging and courage. And we have traveled to various parts of the world in the course of our duties and all the rest of the thing, and we see where militaries were appreciated. I could remember when I was even going to Costa Rica for my master's degree program, I had to pass through Atlanta Airport. By the time they knew that I was a serving military officer in Nigeria, honestly, they did not even check my luggage. They even asked me to, jump the queue. I couldn't have been more happier than proud, more proud than that instance. And it also happened while I went to Saudi Arabia and so many other instances. This is what we want the Nigerian society to be doing to the Nigerian military. I am conscious of the fact that, there is so much, expectation from the military. But we should also understand that over time, some vested elements have decided to be denigrating the military. And I had cause to one day even told, a prominent person in this country that one day you will run out of excuses. And because the excuses of this is that, given the unfortunate political history in this country, the military was involved in political governance, which is really, really wrong. But I think we should allow that to go, given the fact that we are 20 years into democratic governance, and honestly, the military has, discharged its duties creditably. We won't say that it is to the, 100% expectation of the Nigerian society and international community, but of course there is nothing that is perfect, but we are doing the best. I know they are doing the best they could. Therefore, it should be appreciated. It should be supported. Then, of course, there are people that are statutorily, empowered to support the military. They should be doing that. They should also speak on behalf of the military, not that always the military should be on the defensive side. Why? Because honestly, any time you talk badly against the military, naturally they feel bad. Especially, let's even look at it in your family. Sometimes your children will do the wrong thing. You don't shout on them. You bring them, and warn them and show them, and sometimes even punish them, without losing their humanity and dignity. And that's all the military needs from every Nigerian, so that we have the military that we deserve, in symbol of national power, symbol of national unity. And remember, and I always say so, that just pick any barracks of the Nigerian military, be it the Nigerian Army, Nigerian Navy, or Nigerian Air Force. it is a miniature Nigeria because every value system of the Nigerian society is being represented there. Either is this religious or ethnic, and they have been living in peace and harmony. They synchronize themselves for the betterment of the Nigerian society. I think the military is not asking for too much on the part of all Nigerians to support us, to support them, to appreciate them so that they can do better, so that they can be the military that every Nigerian will be happy and be proud of. So now that we have the Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration going on up to January 15, we expect Nigerians to please adorn their, chest with the remembrance envelope, just that the British are doing with the purple, ribbon during their Armed Forces Remembrance Day. Because really, a nation is only as strong as its military, and we always have a collective responsibility to support the military. Where they go wrong, there are procedures and ways of, checking it so that they can perform better. And it is not just the military, including the other security agencies, that sacrifice their lives daily in securing this country. We know there are problems. Take, for instance, the issue of answers. Now, the youth have come out, to speak with one voice, during the answers protest. Okay. But then they have passed a message. What are Nigerian societies doing to ensure that we have a better police force and better security agencies in this country?
If you hear me, yeah, great. The nation is only as strong as security. It's also, the nation is only as strong as its people, too, most importantly. But I want to ask you this. At first, when all of this happened, the military put on all the videos and stories released, said fake news, said its people were not there. And afterwards, a couple of days after, and yesterday they released a statement that the Lagos state government called them in. I want you to address those two reports. Secondly, I want to talk about rules of engagement. You talked about the part that blanks were fired. I would have thought, I don't know the military, I would have thought we should have been hearing tear gas canisters. Couldn't tear gas have taken them up? Why should even dummy or blank bullets be fired in the first place? So, and all of that gamut of all of this. Amnesty International is pointing to what they saw, a certain location of the military leaving to go to Lekki. That's Amnesty International. I know you have your long out, drawn out war battles with Amnesty International. But those two questions. At first, the military came out and said it's fake news. Secondly, they came out to say, okay, yes, the Lagos state government sent us to come in there. Third, you confirmed to me that there are blanks. Why should even blanks be fired in the first place? Somebody will have thought it would be tear gas, rules of engagement. Correct me on all of this if I'm wrong. Enlighten me even. I want to learn from you.
Okay. There is no long-drawn war with Amnesty International. It's just that I think there is misunderstanding. And the earlier they understand the role the Nigerian military play in the Nigerian society, the better. And in fact, I had cause to even during the NSAS protest to ask whether actually Amnesty International is indeed an NGO or a subversive organization, because I saw the tweets that were going on, instigating people and what have you. That is just by the way. Now, when you look at this issue, what is the military supposed to do in a security situation when called upon? Remember, the military are armed, and by nature of their training, they are trained to kill. They are supposed to come at a point in time and exit. There are procedures of taking over and handing over. But over time, given the peculiarity of Nigerian society, where we have, negated, the time-tested and trusted conflict resolution mechanism that even among families now, they no longer jojo. You will see, people drawing arms against brothers and sisters, talk less of, communal clashes and what have you. But in most times than not, the military is called upon. We cannot afford to have wanton destructions of, killings and destructions of lives and property. And I think the military, in its wisdom, instead of using live ammunition, they decided to use blank ammo, which is meant for training. And I think they should be commended for that. Otherwise, there could have been serious collateral damage. But they were reasonable and, professional enough to have done that. But like I said, I don't want to go into details of this because the Commission of Inquiry definitely is working hard to unravel all these things and what have you. But there are clear procedures. When the police are overwhelmed and when the military is being called upon and, the procedures of handing and taking over. So let's not preempt that aspect. And again, there is no all-time war between the Nigerian military and Amnesty International. However, we should all understand that we owe it as a point of duty to ensure that we have a peaceful and prosperous Nigeria. And that cannot be achieved when all other people are pulling, in various directions. I think we should be responsible enough to understand the peculiarities of Nigerian society, contribute positively for its development. We have had instances, even among citizens of this country, threatening, the military with international criminal courts. You cannot threaten, a sovereign state with, and its law-abiding agencies that are performing lawful duties. We should understand, we should not get emotional when it comes to issue. We should be able to reason. There are ways of handling issues without aggravating, security situation in this country. And that is all that we should all be looking forward to. We have had an unfortunate incident. Let it be a wake-up call, a golden opportunity, so that we can be able to look at the fault lines and see how best we can address them. There are so many challenges in this, affecting the military, the security agencies that bothered about their kitting, funding, welfare, and administration. And I always like to even talk about the police force, for instance. Since the advent of democracy, by that I mean between 1999 to date, how much have we invested in terms of recruitment of police men and their officers? How much have we budgeted for the funding of the Nigerian police? What is their training? How many, look, how is the funding? I could remember vividly when I was at the National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies, when we were compiling our final report to submit to the President Commander-in-Chief in November 2018, we are trying to see how much does an average police division get per month, per quarter at, in this country. You'll be shocked to know that an average GPO just gets 14,000 naira per quarter. So how do you expect that person to work? The military is no better off. So these are the issues, and when people talk, they should please talk on the basis of verifiable knowledge and information, not speculations. Because these guys are doing marvelous job under very difficult and extraneous circumstances. Then you should understand that and appreciate that. Not that people will just come and talk for the sake of talking. No, it has consequences upon a lot of things. Therefore, whenever you are doing things, people should always make sure that they investigate properly and verify their facts before they come up. Because we really need the NGOs. We need people, to put the government and its agency on the edge. But the procedure is something else. Do you know we have a Freedom of Information Act since 2011, right? But people are not even aware of it, talk less of taking advantage of it. And honestly, that could have solved a lot of problems if people are aware, because you are at liberty to request for information, issues that you do not even understand. Any government agency in this country, and you don't even need to be a Nigerian, even a foreigner, and you don't even need to justify why you are looking for that information. So I quite agree with you that we really need to do a lot, and the bulk of it, the government has to lead. And in leading, we should improve in our governance, we should improve in our communication system, especially between the governed and the government.
Well, General, I respect your point about allowing the Judicial Panel of Inquiry to do its work. But it would be helpful if you can help us clarify a number of issues. One, what is the impact of a blank ammo? I ask that because at least 3 hospitals were quoted as having said persons with gunshot wounds were brought to their hospitals, General Hospital and at least 2 major private hospitals. So what's the impact of a blank ammo? 2, there was some story before the military went to the Lekki Toll Gate that if you hold the Nigerian flag and you sing the national anthem, that protects you from being shot by the Nigerian army because they will see that you are a patriot, you are holding the flag. Does the flag offer any kind of protection? 3, is it standard procedure?
Can you hold on? Let me just answer the 2, because otherwise I'll lose track of what you're saying.
Okay.
Now, the impact of blank ammo, maybe, I don't know, maybe you are distracted. Because otherwise you would have heard when I mentioned of the fact that even at close range, it doesn't kill, but it will, burn your skin. And I use the word pigmentation. Therefore, that would have answered your question.
I heard you.
Now, fine. Now, the second question is what?
No, when I brought up the issue of how a blank ammo works, I added that hospitals reported that persons were brought there having gunshot wounds, not skin pigmentation problems.
Very good. Now, I get you right. Now, thankfully, you are respecting my view that we should allow the Commission of Inquiry to do its job. But at the same time, let's also look at it. There were a lot of key actors at that particular point in time and instance that include, well-known celebrities and the so-called big boys at that instance. And we know that some of them had bodyguards that are well armed. And a lot of, things happen in that melee. But thankfully, I believe there were, video recordings that will be reviewed and all the rest, but you can also understand of the fact that definitely the cartridges used, they were of that caliber that I mentioned earlier. Therefore, it is the Commission of Inquiry that will determine who did what. And I think it is advisable that we should wait for that. Now, let's go to the third question.
Okay, the second point was this myth, as it were, that if you are holding the Nigerian flag and you are singing the national anthem, no soldier will shoot at you. And then 3, is it standard procedure also that when soldiers shoot at a conflict zone, they will mop up the bodies? Because there were allegations that the soldiers that went to the Lekki Toll Gate were, collecting the bodies and moving away with them. Is that also standard procedure, if it were to be true?
Well, I have said that, and a lot of people have been asking me that question. But there is no doubt about the fact that the national flag is very sacred and symbolic, to the point that, whenever the military is having parade, you have the color party, and history, or rather tradition has it, for whatever reason, if you allow the flag to fall, not just the national flag, but even the unit flag, the color, definitely you will be court-martialed. That goes a long way to tell you how important it is. And I could remember when the military did marvelously well by recapturing the border town of Gambarungala, the symbolic thing that we did was to hoist back Nigerian flag. It was a momentous feeling. And of course, national anthem is sacred in the sense that whatever you're doing, whenever the national anthem is being played, you are supposed to stand up and keep quiet. For those in military or those security agencies wearing uniform at the officer corps level, they are supposed to salute. Otherwise, you come to attention. It's a mark of reverence and decorum, deference to those national symbols. But the issue now is, and I would like to even ask you this question. Let's assume that Reuben Abati sitting with you there, and you saw someone carry national flag, and definitely he was aiming to kill Reuben Abati, and you are also armed. What are you supposed to do?
Is that a rhetorical question?
Is that a rhetorical question? Is that a rhetorical question, General? Is that
No, I'm asking you.
Is that
to a large extent, that will answer your question.
But the protesters...
Because whenever the military are going out, there are clearly spelled out, guidelines, rules of engagement, code of conduct, who does what, when, and how.
But the protesters were unarmed.
You cannot be oblivious of the fact that somebody holding Nigerian flag and he's going to kill someone, and you will fold your arms.
So you are claiming the protesters were armed. That's what you just claimed on national TV. Brigadier General, you just claimed that the protesters were armed on national TV. Which a rhetorical question based on inference.
No, please. Please. And that is the problem we're having in the Nigerian society. You take things out of context and don't put words into my mouth. Okay? I'm just giving a scenario. It's hypothetical. It is not in relation to that. I'm trying to answer because people were saying that there is unwritten code. In fact, they attribute it to a particular colonel whose son said that his father told him that they should do that, and they shared it on Twitter. But what I'm trying to make you understand is that there is no such thing that you should be oblivious of the fact that somebody is threatening someone's life. And you are so sure that if you do not intervene, the person will be killed. And simply because the other person is holding national flag or he's singing national anthem. And if you just look at it, let's even look at the issue of Boko Haram. They claim to be Muslim. They claim to be Muslims. All right? And by standards in Islam, a Muslim is a fellow Muslim's brother. But they kill fellow Muslims. So do you mean that you should fold your arms because you are a Muslim and allow them to kill the other Muslims?
Right, General, as we
I hope you understand what I'm trying to say.
Yes, General, as we're running out of time, I'd also like you to clarify two reports. One was the claim by the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant Colonel Buratai, that 10 AK-47 rifles were lost during this recent protest. How did that happen? Were any barracks attacked? And the other claim was that soldiers prevented wounded protesters from, being transported to hospitals. They stopped ambulances from transporting the wounded to the hospitals. Please, can you address those two claims?
Yeah, thankfully, just like you, I followed the proceedings when the Chief of Army Staff addressed his Principal Staff Officers, General Officer Commanding, and of course, field commanders. And of course, when the Acting Director of Army Public Relations addressed the media on the outcome of it and the statement thereafter issued and the subsequent one that followed. I know it was in retrospect that the Army was pointing to the fact that 10 AK-47 were carted away. It does not mean necessarily that it was from the Nigerian Army. I hope you understand. And there are other security agencies that also use AK-47. It is not just the Nigerian Army that does so. Okay? Then the issue about, what was the other one, Seth?
The issue about the soldiers preventing ambulances from conveying the injured to hospitals.
Oh, okay, yeah. In fact, your colleague asked the other question about, mopping up and the issue of internal security. Part of the... Yeah, I'm coming to that. The issue in internal security operations, there are standard principles and procedure. One of the principles, which is cardinal, is accountability. Accountability means because they are conscious of the fact that whenever the military is called upon, definitely there will be, investigation. And it has happened several times over, especially in the early 2000s when we had ethno-religious crisis in various parts of the country, particularly in Kaduna State. And therefore, you must be accountable. And the military is not, the public health agency of the government that they will have to clear sin or they have to tamper with evidence. No, they don't. But they must be accountable. Take a record of everything that transpired because they know definitely they will be asked questions.
So in other words, if there are corpses, then they will mop them up so that they can account for the bullets in relation to the bodies?
No. Please don't put words into my mouth. No. I told you there are procedures, and I told you there are no public health agencies. So that answers your question.
Well, thank you very much, General Usman, for joining us this morning on the Morning Show. Thank you for all the clarifications.